Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Hey tea sippers, I hope you guys are doing good today. So last week I had talked about the layoffs that were going on. Over 20,000 people got laid off from UPS. We had over 52,000 people get laid off in tech. Over 64,000 people were laid off in retail. So it is not slowing down whatsoever. Yesterday, 500 people were laid off at a Georgia-Pacific plant, and it's affecting the entire community there. On top of that, it's not just here in America. A lot of people are being laid off globally, especially in China. Now, as we know, China makes a lot of the world's supplies. But what happens when their biggest consumer, who is us, okay, in America, when we stop purchasing from them? Well, unfortunately, it ends up affecting them as well. Because if we're not buying anything from China, it makes no sense for them to keep making stuff. So a lot of companies have just shut down. They've literally laid off all the workers and just ran off with the money. And so a lot of the Chinese right now in China are protesting the government. They're pissed off because they're like, it's one thing to get laid off. Like here in America, you may or may not get a pink slip. You may or may not get a severance, but you'll at least get your last paycheck. Okay. But in China, a company can just shut down and run off with the money. So a lot of people are upset because they have not received, not only not getting their last paycheck, but we're also finding out that some people in China have not been paid in months. So a lot of protests are erupting in China. It is getting real out here. And the saddest part in all of this is that it is the people who are affected. It's the regular man and woman here in America who are affected by these tariffs and all the, the trickle-down effect. And it's also the regular man and woman over there in China who too are affected by this tariff war brought on by both of our presidents. So it's insane, all of this stuff that's going on, but I'm here to break it down to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and react to some videos. So let's go ahead and check out what's going on right now with the job market and these mass layoffs.
It was kind of like, wow, we declined other jobs to go here. And it was upsetting, it was disappointing, and to see everybody out there in tears, like they have families.
For decades, the Emporia plywood plant has been a staple here, employing generations of local families. Now it's gone.
A lot of managers move their families down here from miles away, and it costs thousands of dollars to move people to travel.
LaShonda Hinton was responsible for final product inspections on the line. She says even management was left in the dark. I sat down with her to get her side of the story.
So the vice president sent this to the plant manager, and the plant manager just put it on the board, and that's how you guys found out?
Yes, they put it on the board. No, we didn't have any emails.
She says they got just 48 hours notice. Some managers only an hour more.
We had a conversation with the managers, like, what's going on? They was out of it too, as if they didn't know anything.
Georgia-Pacific claiming the decision came down to, quote, housing affordability challenges, a 30-year low in existing home sales, and that they're reducing production to match demand. But employees tell us a different story.
I got to pay bills, I got to pay child support, I got to go to court next week. What I'm supposed to do?
We let the employees know at our Emporia, Virginia plywood mill that we are ceasing operations as of today.
I've worked here 3.5 years. It's very unsettling. It's very unsettling. Because I have 5 young kids at home. It's very heartfelt because I feel bad for the city of Emporia. I really do, because it's going to crush Emporia.
It's going to cripple this town. You just lost Boy's Head, you lost GP. He ain't going to be nothing left here.
This a loss for me, and then they shut down Boy's Head. I was just about to start at Boy's Head. They shut Boy's Head down. Now they done shut this place down. What jobs do we have in Emporia?
We want to get these people placed in new jobs as soon as possible. It's very tough for the Emporia area with the Boar's Head plant a while back, and now Georgia-Pacific, but we're committed to trying to find those people jobs in and around that area and work to bring companies into that area to pick up some of that job loss.
The MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas has started to do layoffs quietly.
Business is slumping, likely due to the tariff and trade war.
I've been hearing about Las Vegas is losing a lot of business. One, because of how expensive everything is now. You're having to pay for every little thing in Las Vegas. No more freebies. From the parking, they're saying that the rooms are more expensive. And people have been saying that tourism in Las Vegas has been dying down. So it looks like MGM is quietly laying off staff. So this is really sad.
Lots of people around the world have canceled their trips to the United States, period, and also Las Vegas. Las Vegas has the number one economy here is tourism. This will greatly affect Las Vegas residents. Also not helping matters is the way that Las Vegas has been nickel and diming tourists for years. You heard me correctly. If you've come here, you understand you pay for parking, valet parking, literally nickel and diming everyone. While those prices have gone up, those were not passed on to the employees. Rather, it's to deepen the pockets with corporate greed. And there has been a shakeup at the MGM, and rightfully so. When is there too much greed? I understand that corporations need to make profits, but they have gotten very greedy. And I want to remind you, once prices go up, they hardly ever come down. Have you been nickeled and dimed in Las Vegas and that has caused you to cancel your trips, come less? Or have you canceled your trips because of tariffs and the trade war?
On to it, do not quit, do not budge, do not move. With this federal worker layoff that is taking place, it can highly affect our private sector. And what could possibly happen is the private sector won't be able to absorb those who were laid off. And then you have to understand there's already has been a shortage of jobs. It's hard for people to find jobs even now in this economy. The economy right now financially is, it's overwhelming for.
That's what I was saying when I did the video a few months back about the federal workers being laid off and people were celebrating and laughing, that it's not funny. These federal workers are not just going to disappear and fly off into the moon. They're going to be coming into the private sector. And it's already hard for private sector people to get jobs. So imagine when you have a bunch of qualified people coming from these federal positions and they're applying for the same jobs. So it's going to just make the job market an even tougher place than it already is.
For many Americans, we are all overwhelmed with the high prices of food, just the high prices of everything. I don't think we understand how much it will impact our economy. It's going to impact our financial institutions, even your mom and pop stores, because if there is a lack of people working and in the workforce and there's people who are looking for jobs and can't get jobs, people will not be spending money like that. People will begin to start being more frugal.
It's going to start affecting things like the service industry, because if people are getting laid off, the price of goods are going up. People are not trying to go get their nails done. They're not trying to go get their lashes. They're not going to go get their hair done. They're not going to be coming for haircuts. They're not going to be looking to get, their houses cleaned with maid services or, windows washed, stuff like that. So this is a trickle down effect. Maybe you're not a trucker and you do lashes. Well, people are going to choose food and the necessities over paying, for lashes and other things like that. People are going to choose to pay their mortgage and their rent as opposed to paying for window cleaning or, house cleaning. They have to be able to stay in their homes. So this is going to have a big trickle-down effect where it's going to affect a lot of industries.
They'll start watching how they spend. They will start having tight pockets. And the way that we normally are used to spending out Those days are gone. That will no longer take place. I want to remind y'all of something that the Bible says. In the seals, there are the horsemen, and one of them is the third seal, and it is a representation of a black horse. And it says, "Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the four living creatures saying, a quart of wheat for a day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine." I just want to remind the saints, let me just remind y'all, in the 4th seal, there is a pale horseman, which it represents famine, is one of the things, famines and plagues. We must remember what the Bible says concerning these times. I hope y'all catch what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. Besides this, we have to understand what else is being cut financially for a lot of families, for a lot of different people. Okay, so there are resources that moving forward will not be in place as well. I don't know what else to say without saying what I'm trying to say, because they be having stuff under review. My videos be under review so much. I will say this. There is a lot of layoffs that is happening. And financially, those people are used to a certain way of living, a certain financial way of living. And the impact that this will have over every sector of this world, every business. This is not a time to be spending your coins, okay?
Have forced hospitals in at least 10 states to lay off staff and pause critical payments to medical suppliers. Joining me now is Hilton Braithel, who is the president and CEO of the Healthcare Association of Hawaii. Thank you so much for being on the program. I know you represent all 28 hospitals in Hawaii. So talk about what their experience is as a result of these delays.
These delays, we're waiting on approximately $240 million for these hospitals in the state of Hawaii. And these payments were supposed to start in January of this year. So now being May, we're almost 5 months late in any of these payments flowing. And all of the hospitals in Hawaii are not for profit. They already operate on very narrow margins. Some of them are already operating at a loss. And this delay in payments is significant. It impacts their ability to hire staff, it impacts their ability to pay their bills, and it impacts their ability to provide services to the community.
We, for example, heard a story about a medical center in Washington that had to lay off 100 employees because of delays. So I guess if misery loves company, it seems like you're getting plenty of it. Are you in touch with other hospitals and other places and having conversations about what?
Now, this is frightening because, again, this is the medical sector. So meaning if you had some type of medical emergency or just even routine doctor's appointments, you know, it's going to be a wait time. They're understaffed. They're having to let people go because they're not receiving the federal funding. They're unable to pay the bills to keep the hospitals running. And then let's not forget, a lot of medical supplies, medication, and things like that all come from China, okay? And because, you know, these tariffs and China not sending anything to us, that's also affecting the hospitals as well.
What's going on?
Well, we are working together. We are working with the American Hospital Association. We're working with other state associations. As you said, there are multiple states involved. For us, it's an impact this year for the whole year of about $240 million that we're still waiting on getting any of those payments. Normally, they would come out on a monthly basis. We are working with our state Medicaid agency, and they are doing all they can, but it appears that there is a backlog at the federal government in approving these types of payments across the country.
Wall Street Journal notes that there are conservative critics of the entire federal funding program, and I'm going to quote from a healthcare advisor from Trump's first term who says it's just a money laundering scheme that lines the pockets of hospitals. What would you say to him?
Well, that is certainly not true in Hawaii, the state I represent. Our hospitals, again, every single hospital in the state of Hawaii is not for profit. Our average margin last year, 2024, was almost negative 1%. That means on average, every single hospital in the state lost money. That is not a good place to be in.
raise your hand if you got laid off today. And they said, it's not a reflection of you or your work or anything, but it just sucks. Not only because, I have a family and a mortgage, and we don't come from that life, so this, it matters. But they sought me out. I was running my own consulting business. I was doing social media, and I'd been doing it for 7 years. And they contacted me. Here I am trying to save the world, and I can't even save myself. I am a nerd, so I think I'm gonna go to the library and look at old books.
I got the phone call today from my supervisor. Don't ever be loyal to a company, ever. Howdy, howdy. Well, I got the phone call today from my supervisor. Don't ever be loyal to a company, ever. And I'm saying this to the older generation. I'm also saying this to the younger generation. Don't worry about 2-week notices, because they will screw you. I just found that out. I've been working for the company for a year. Perfect attendance, never had any issues. Always did my job, was super efficient. Matter of fact, I was one of the most efficient people on second shift. I drive 2 hours round trip for work every day, 410s. Just got a call from my boss that the CEO or the upper management does not want me coming back in. They're just going to let me go. So don't ever give your employer notice. Keep your mouth shut. If you're going to leave, keep it to yourself. If you're going to fill out another application for an employer, do not mark on there that yes, they can contact your past employer, or at least make it known to them that you don't want them, unless they're going to hire you and give you a start date, you don't want them contacting your last employer, because they will make your life miserable. Like I said, perfect attendance record, perfect everything. And they called me today and said that they don't want me to come back. So I have to go back down there regardless, to pick up my weld hood and all my equipment that I have there. But they feel that I'm just going to make a bunch of mistakes while I'm there, even though the last year I was one of the most efficient with the least amount of mistakes. I think they think I'm going to purposely kind of screw up their stuff, but I'm just kind of shell-shocked.
I saw that Intel made a recent announcement that they were doing a RIF, a reduction in force, of about 20% of its workforce. Its workforce is 109,000 people, in-person staff, so that is roughly 21,000 jobs. I also saw that UPS plans to cut about 20,000 employees. I know this is kind of old news, but that's going to be one of the largest in U.S. history. So then I decided to hop over to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics to see where we're standing so far this year. It looks like 1.8 million people were laid off or discharged in February 2025 alone. That brings us to 3.5 million layoffs and discharges in 2025 so far. That's pretty big. So far, just January and February is what the data has been reported. Layoffs and discharges total 3.5 million, and that is 2.7% higher than the same period in 2024. In February 25, that data that I had given, so the 1.5 million, that looks like that stands for about 1.1% of all employed people. That's huge. So when I dig a little bit deeper, the layoff and discharge rate was highest in the professional services industry in February. Second to that was construction, and then information, leisure and hospitality, retail, trade, transportation and utilities, manufacturing, wholesale trade, financial activities, education and health services, mining and logging, and then government. So again, a lot of us think that all of this is happening in the government sector right now, but it's not. It's happening a ton in the private and public sector as well.
Well, second time in a year, almost a year to the day, I got laid off again. Twice in a year. And what the fuck? What is anyone supposed to do? And they said, because of the economy is crap right now. So, we're going to lay off a whole bunch of people again. And I already was struggling so hard, actually low-key, to even keep the current roof over my head. And now I have no idea how I'm even going to get through the next few hours. I just don't understand. But yeah, the economy is shit. America is shit right now. I feel like there's a really big plan for them to, tank this so that we have to rely on other things, other people. It's fucking shit. And I'm quite frankly tired of it. I'm tired of my livelihood being in other people's hands. And I have no idea how to fix that, but I'm going to, because this is just wild.
So it's getting crazy out there, guys. Companies are laying off a bunch of people. Layoffs are piling up right now. We saw Intel recently said they're laying off 21,000 people. We know a lot of the big tech companies have been laying off people, and people in different industries are getting laid off right now. And the tariff situation, the trade war between the US and China, is only increasing uncertainty and casting doubts on the guidance of where businesses are going, right? So if businesses can't really forecast as well as they were able to a couple of months ago what their revenue is going to be, what their profits are going to be, if they're seeing, oh crap, we're going to take a hit in profit, oh, we're going to take a hit in this or that, they're going to start laying off more people. People are already getting laid off because of the uncertainty for the future with tariffs, with these businesses. What's going to happen? Will it take a hit to my profits, right? People are already getting laid off. Will it get worse? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
As much as Donald Trump wants to blame President Biden for all of the horrible things that have happened since Trump took over, the truth is American workers and American businesses know exactly who is to blame for the horrible economic conditions under which we are now living. And that person, of course, is Donald Trump. And this week, we got even more, tens of thousands of layoffs from just one company because of Donald Trump's policies. UPS, one of the biggest shipping companies in the country, in fact, all over the world, announced that they were having to lay off 20,000 U.S. workers because of Donald Trump's tariffs.
Hi, besties. Happy Tuesday, May 6th. I was just laid off.
Oh, wow.
I'm unemployed.
Mm.
What? I had a feeling this was coming, and I was hoping I was wrong. What?
It's getting real out here, folks. I mean, people are literally walking into work, sitting at their desks, and finding out they're fired.
Oh my god, why am I crying? Shut up. Wow. Oh my god. What?
That was rude. That was pretty fucking rude.
So yesterday I was laid off for my job, my very cushy, very nice trucking job. And that's all good. I got 2 interviews. I'm on my way to one right now. They're both better paying jobs. One of them is even closer to my house. But that's actually not what I want to talk about. Yesterday, while I was on that phone call, one of the drivers that was getting laid off, he said, hey guys, so you request a 2 weeks notice from us when we're going to leave. In fact, last year I did give you a 2 weeks notice. I decided to leave. I found a better job and I put in my 2 weeks and you guys talked me out of it. You said, no, we're going to give you a raise, which you did. But I would be in a much better job right now. But you can't be bothered to give us a 2 weeks notice. Hey, you're about to lose your income. We have to give you, a multi-billion-dollar company, 2 weeks to find our replacement. But you can't be bothered to give us the same courtesy. The boss said, this is not a decision leadership makes lightly. And the driver said, that's not what I'm asking you. Then he said, "There's not much more I can tell you. I'm sorry things are the way they are." And that was that. Let this be a reminder that you can be as loyal as a dog to a company, and when they decide to let go of you for whatever reason, they're moving on, and there's nothing you can do about that. And also, we're done giving 2 weeks notices. Courtesy is a two-way street, and if I can't expect that from you, don't expect it from me. Have a great one.
So I'm at work right now, but I am reading this article from Freight Waves. They're saying that layoffs are going to hit the freight-related companies across Southwest or Southeast. More than 1,800 jobs cut in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and South Carolina. So, question is, are we doing great yet?
My husband just got an email saying that he lost his job because of the tariffs. He's a cargo pilot. And we voted for the lady. We didn't vote for this. This is so uncool. It's like, what are they trying to do? Like, what is happening? I'm sorry that happened, babe. Are you alright?
It's alright. I guess I can
He'll look for another job.
Truck driver.
The pilot. All right, so you guys just saw some of the videos from people being laid off in America. So now I want to show you guys what's going on in China and how they're protesting and upset, because in China, not only are they being laid off, the factories are closing down, but they're also not receiving their paychecks. So the Chinese are pissed off. So we're going to watch some of those videos right now.
China is currently on the brink of one of the biggest economic crises of the last century. The 145% tariffs advocated by US President Donald Trump, combined with the deflationary environment in China, have caused things to spiral out of control in the country.
I don't want this to happen, but I know that China is doing very poorly right now. I just saw some reports coming out, and I don't want that to happen to China.
The Chinese economy is not doing well.
China's economy is a export-led economy.
The problem is nothing is moving from China right now, so nobody is shipping it.
The trade still, Beijing says it's now considering trade talks with Washington.
Orders are being canceled, and factories are collectively filing for bankruptcy.
It's happening every minute.
Massive facilities that were swarming with foreign customers just yesterday have halted production and are now idle in empty hangars.
Pay my wages! Pay my wages! Workers at Shengdi Optoelectronics in Wuzhen, Tongxiang City, Zhejiang Province are shouting in unison, demanding the company pay their overdue wages. The workers went on strike starting April 28th due to the company's long-standing failure to pay wages. The next day, they gathered in front of the Wuzhen town government to protest, continuing to pressure for the wages they've been owed since January. However, the police arrested several protesters on the spot.
They stopped us all here and didn't let us.
How would you assess the Chinese economy?
Not well. I think that's the bottom line. We're seeing reports before the data ban, again, about job losses. China is all about stability. And so that government needs to think through, what do they do? When products are not being purchased, when there's no jobs for the people. China has protests. Sometimes we don't hear about them so much. And what they worry about most are protests from workers, not students, but it's about workers. Well, I think probably no one wants, violence and protests, but clearly I would hope that Xi Jinping, as the rest of the world, really wants a better life for Chinese people too. Really, the Chinese are often the victims when things like this happen and things disappear.
By the way, the data that we did see last week was painful. Manufacturing was down, exports were down. So the tariffs that President Trump has begun to institute are working, apparently.
Well, I think, we have to find what do we mean by working? And, in terms of, is of course the consequence on the people there. But the reality, indeed, across the world, President Trump is driving the agenda. And with your for or against tariffs, you cannot deny that it's led to discussions that hopefully will be the benefit, not just for Americans, but for other countries, and making sure it's a sustainable trading relationship between the U.S. and them.
You are so wrong about that one. If there's one thing the Chinese people is good at, is speaking up to their own government. In fact, they do it so often that there's just protests happening every single hour, every single community. That's the difference between Chinese and America. In America, you're afraid to go and protest because you're not going to get anything done. You just rally and talk and nothing get done. In China, people complain to the local authorities and they solve the problem. And that's why people rise. That's why that system works. So now you know. And if you want to learn more and understand more about, stay tuned and follow me.
All right, you guys. So those are just some of the videos coming from China. So it is a lot going on right now. So let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. I look forward to reading y'all's comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about all of these mass layoffs happening. Have you been affected? Have you had family members affected? Do you think that there's going to be more layoffs happening throughout the summer? And then what do you guys feel about what's going on in China and what they're dealing with as well, you know, with the tariffs and, you know, their factories shutting down and them not getting their paycheck. So once again, hit this video with the like. Feel free to share this video and I'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your day. Deuces.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.